right, welcome back for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those comics you can probably still find tucked away in those cheap boxes, those discount bins, those dollar boxes, whether you do your digging at your LCS, half-price books, yard sales, flea markets. These are the types of things I think you can find based off of some of the things going on in the actual comics right now, recent news, rumors, announcements, TV shows, movies, etc. Just stuff that kind of come to mind when we're hitting the weekly the weekly news stuff, whether it be from the comics, movies, etc. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And you may not know this, but I actually did record this video once before today, and I somehow forgot to turn the mic on. So I have to do it again. So with that said, if you want to hear my second go around for this week's new books, just hang over a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so as I mentioned, this is my second go around at doing this, so hopefully I don't forget any of the stuff I said the first time around, and yeah, let's just see how it goes with round two. With that said, we are not going to be covering any movies or TV shows this week because there was nothing really interesting or popped out that could kind of connect to things. Yes, Creature Commandos did come out today, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it as soon as I'm done, with this video and all that stuff. So I'll check that out maybe for next week if anything pops off in those first two episodes of Creature Commandos. So we are really just going to focus in this week on new release comics because last week, due to Thanksgiving, I had to skip the show. I didn't have time, and I wasn't going to record a show on Thanksgiving. So I'm going to do sort of a double duty work here, covering the comics that were released this week and last week. So hopefully you're down for that. And with that said, we're just going to get right into the comics because that's all we are covering today. Starting off first with new release this week, the fourth issue of Wolverine. That's right, Wolverine has another solo series, and we're already up to issue 4. And in those 4 issues, he's already facing another dude with mechanical tendrils, coil things. Remember, he had Omega Red before? Now we have the Constrictor. So he's in the coils of the Constrictor here. Yes, he's right there on the cover, so it should not be a surprise that he is also in the guts of this book as the baddie of this particular issue. Cool. Constrictor's been around for a while. I always think of that impossible to find Secret Wars action figure that I never got. That's one of the few Secret Wars I didn't get. But Constrictor was always one. I think was he released maybe over in the UK only? I can't remember. But that all aside, the Constrictor has been around for a while. In fact, he's been around since the 70s, first showing up in Incredible Hulk issue 212 from March of 1977. And it's very clear and easy to find out that this is his first appearance because not only is he on the cover, but his name is right there, crushed by the Constrictor, right in the trade dress. So no surprises there. It was very clear back in the day when we had our first appearances, right? Made things very easy, especially when you're digging. You can look, there he is, Constrictor. This is probably his first appearance. And yes, that is him on the cover. And yes, that is him inside the book too. So just to make sure that he is there, he is in there. And he is the villain of this particular story. Now, with that said, you're probably thinking, book from the 70s, villain you know his name, probably an expensive book. It really isn't. It's really not that pricey. And you can see here, recent copies sold for $2, $5, $6. Not expensive at all. Asking prices, $5, $6, $10. I mean, it really depends on the condition. The higher the better the condition, the higher the price, obviously. But who knows what you'll find tucked away in a box. You can find a really nice copy, sometimes just saved. It's basically saved by all the other issues of Incredible Hulk inside. It's kind of protected this one from the elements. But hey, who knows? Just a fun book for you to go out there and dig for this weekend if you are inclined to do so. Now, that's my Marvel book for this week, so I'm going to shift on over to DC for a book that we actually covered last night on the TAC show with part of our Take It or Leave It reviews. And just as I said last night, I like this book. It was a good introduction to Two-Face. I am a fan of Two-Face as a character. I think this is only going to be like a 6-issue miniseries, but it kind of caught my interest. I kind of was intrigued by this whole setup of kind of like a criminal court system. Not the actual judicial system, but the criminals have their own form of judgment and court. And in that court, Harvey Dent obviously playing a lawyer, since that was his trade as district attorney as well, but now reporting to a different judge, criminal underworld judge. This time it is played by the Reaper. You remember the Reaper? Classic Batman villain as well. He's been around since the 70s. Granted, these are newer looks for the character, but he goes back to 1971, I believe. October 1971. There it is. Only 25 cents. Batman and Robin. Issue, what is this? 237. That's right, 237. Now, I know what you're going to say. This is not a dollar book. And you are absolutely correct. This is not a dollar book. There is a very slim chance you're going to find this book in a dollar box or even a cheap box or discount bin, because it's got a very, very catchy cover. Like, you got the red, you got the Reaper. It catches the eye. So this is the type of book that's gotten a little bit of a premium for a while now. That said, it's good to know that that's the first appearance. But even though you may not find the original, see, 48 pages, only 25 cents, you might find on much newer, glossier, shinier paper the facsimile reprint. Yes, the facsimile reprint just came out in October. This might already be discounted at shops near you. This is the kind of book you'll probably be able to find. Yeah, it's a reprint, I know, but it's still a nice one. You know, it's nice, better paper. And look, you can tell the difference because it's 48 pages, only $4.99. So apart from the new paper, if you were curious, how do you tell the difference? There's another way. That's also free if you're shopping online and you don't have a good picture. You don't have good pictures. Look at that price. That'll kind of tip you off if this is a reprint or not, or a facsimile reprint or not. That said, there is also a foil version of this too. And you obviously know in 1971, they weren't doing foil cover comics for this type of book. So that's also a facsimile reprint if you find the shiny foil one. But either way, the facsimile, not pricey. It's still right around cover. You can find it for less, as you can see here. Look, a foil one sold at auction for less than $2 at $1.79. So there are discounts to be had. Yes, by and large, most of them are still going to look for that $4.99 cover, $4.50 thereabouts. Asking prices $5, $5.65, $6.99. Yes, they're going to be looking right around for the cost and the cover price still, because it's only from October. But keep this in mind, could be discounted soon. Need shelf space, need new release wall space, goes into a back issue bin somewhere or a discount box somewhere, overstock, then you get it at a cheaper rate. Something to keep in mind if you are so inclined and you want to go and find the reprint of the Reaper. Now, I'm not going to leave you with that. I'm not going to just give you Two-Face and tell you to go find a facsimile reprint that just came out. That wouldn't be fair. So another option for you is a book that I have talked about before, because this character has come around a few times. I mean, he's already been adapted into television and movies. We're talking about Victor Zsasz. Yes, remember he was in the Birds of Prey movie. He was also in Gotham, the TV show. He's shown up here and there, adapted already. And every time he does so, we see a pop for his first appearance. This is a pretty cool story. He is actually the defendant in this story. He's accused of basically killing another criminal, but without permission. You know how kind of the mob etiquette goes, made guy, you got to have permission. That's kind of the crux of this story, and it's up to Harvey to kind of prove that it's a frame job. It wasn't Zsasz who did it. But that all said, read the book. It's a good story. I'm not going to try to spoil the whole thing for you, but Zsasz does play a big part in it. So cool concept, cool look to the character with all the little notches for all the people that he is murdered, because he is a serial killer after all. But his first appearance goes back to the 90s in Shadow of the Bat, #1, The Last Arkham, issue 1, May of 1992. Yep, the first 4 issues follow this this storyline. Go find them all. You could find them out there. They are in those cheap boxes. This was printed very heavily. There are a lot of copies out there. We were in the midst of, Batman and Batman Returns, Batmania, basically. So Shadow of the Bat, plenty of copies out there. Yes, some are poly bags still probably, and some are not. Doesn't matter. Grab either if you can find them. But inside the guts of this book in issue 1, we are introduced to Zsasz. Granted, you don't really get to see him. You see his lips. You see him talking, but you don't actually get a good look at Zsasz. He's in a few pages in part of the story here, but we don't get a good look at him. So keep that in mind. That is Zsasz who's talking, but he's in a box inside a cage. Like, they double lectured him up. Like, he's on lockdown upon lockdown. And it makes sense. I mean, you look at all the people he's murdered with all those notches on his body. But that said, this is what you're getting. Just know what you're getting into when you see, oh, it's character first appearance. Yes, this is his first appearance, but he didn't fully appear because we didn't actually get to see all of them. So keep that in mind as well, if that is important to you. I'm not here to play semantics. I'm not going to argue over any of that stuff of cameo, full, any of that stuff. I don't care. I just like to know what's inside the book and know what I'm buying. I'll judge what I want to pay for it. So I'm not going to let anybody else dictate it. It doesn't matter. I just want to know. So this is what you're getting inside this book. And this, like I said, it's a book you can find. Prices could be all over. You can see copies sold $5 for a copy that didn't have the poly bag. Meanwhile, $4 for a copy that was still poly bagged. And then we have 3 copies of the poly bagged edition for only $3.99. $4, you get 3 copies. What a deal. Asking prices. Poly bagged, $4. Loose, $1.99. But meanwhile, loose, $14.99. Like I said, this book's been up and down the spec cycle. Some of these old ones, old listings that were asking those higher prices, because this hit $10, $15 a while back. It'll probably hit that again one day soon. But just one of those books I always grab when I find them. It's just one of those things. And it's also one of those fun things you can do when you're out there digging with your friends, and you just going to want to show off because he's not on the cover. You don't know. You just pull out a box and you're like, you know what this is? It's for Zsasz. Oh, cool. And you grab it for $1. Fun. I don't know. Comics should be fun. That said, you didn't get a good look at him here in issue 1. But if you want to go and keep digging, it's probably in there next to it. Like I said, all 4 issues are probably in there. But issue 2, keep an eye out for issue 2. You might as well grab it while you're grabbing issue 1. It's another $1, so throw it in the pile. Because this is the issue where we get our look and get the reveal of what Zsasz looks like. And we do get a full reveal. I mean, we just nothing left to the imagination except for what's covered by that little word bubble. Yeah. Craziness. Also, very, very cheap book. Cheaper than the other one. I mean, here, issue 2, copy selling for best offer on $1.50. That means somebody had listed for $1.50, and that was like, no, I ain't paying you that full price. I'm going to make you a deal. I want a deal on this. And the seller said, cool, I'm happy to take whatever they accepted. But less than $1.50 is my point. Less than $1.50. Weird. $5 for all 4 issues. As I said, the first story arc, $5. And then there's another option there that's sold for $4 for the random allotment of issues. That's, I don't know, like six issues there or so. Asking prices for this issue 2, $3.50, $2.76. Yeah, there's one listed for $10, but it also has free shipping. So half of that is paying for the shipping. So it's really only asking for like $5 when you think about it, or even $4 because shipping's kind of expensive these days. It's like $6 to send things first class mail. So just saying. Another book just to keep an eye out for. So if you find issue 1, you might as well grab 2. And if you find 3 and 4, grab those as well. It's worth the read. And like I said, have some fun digging for books. With that said, though it's Marvel, that was DC. Now let's go over the indie side of things. So for this week, for my indie book, I decided to choose the Top Cow Holiday Special. Why? Well, why not? Right? Yes, it's got Witchblade on it. It's got the Darkness on it. Jackie Escato. You're not finding there first, probably for $1. You're not finding Witchblade 1. You're not finding Witchblade 10, which I think is a flip book for Darkness 0, whatever the hell it is. You're not finding those. I mean, you can, and obviously look for those, but I'm not going to tell you to look for those. But you can see that's 2 of the characters that's on the cover, and not counting the little Darkness gremlin troll thing that's up front. But the other character in the triumvirate there of Top Cow, Aphrodite IX. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the character. I do remember books featuring her throughout the past couple of decades and seeing Top Cow, but Aphrodite IX is one of the few major, I guess, Top Cow characters once you go beyond Witchblade in the Darkness. That said, I mean, because I don't think they do Cyberforce much anymore, but Aphrodite IX, she's been around since the year, 2000? Yeah, March of 2000 on a Wizard issue 0. That's right. The first appearance would be this Wizard issue 0. Kind of like a preview kind of thing. And with that, this is the regular edition. There is also a gold foil version and a blue foil version, both of which you could still probably find. Just because they're foil editions don't mean that they're impossible to find, even in those discounted cheap boxes. Because I found plenty of just Wizard foil books that just get randomly thrown out and thrown in there because people don't care. I mean, it was not worth the time. Like, not for everyone. It's not worth the time to go and scour through every single book and know what they are and know the value of them. Sometimes it's just, who cares? It's a Wizard Zero issue. I'm throwing it in the bin. And that's what happens. And then it's your treasure to find. That said, Wizard issue 0, this book sells kind of inconsistently too. You can see here with copy selling for as cheap as $1 and as much as over 20 bucks. Same book. Oh, I'm sorry. The $20 is actually a gold edition. Okay, so that makes sense. So you get 20 bucks for the gold foil version. But meanwhile, you can see there's another copy that was a best offer for 15 bucks that also had a variant cover along with it. Point being, it's not selling for a ton either way. And then you see the asking prices, $5, $10, and then yes, there is a copy asking 25 bucks that the seller has listed as booty cover. Because yes, it is a booty cover. It is. So if you're a fan of such covers, this one could be for you. And another one for you to look out for. That said, that was the year 2000. That was March of 2000. And soon after, she got her own series with issue 1, and Top Cow kept rolling on. Eventually, I think in the next year, I think they reprinted this book, but we got an issue 0 that was released through Top Cow in 2001. So don't get these two things confused. So this one with this cover was released in 2001. June of 2001, and doesn't do quite as well, and it's not technically the first since a year later, so keep that in mind too. But you always keep an eye out for it because it's still $3, $5 copies sell for. Asking prices $5, $15. Never know. You do well if you find it. But really, you want to find the Wizard one. But just wanted to point out that you might stumble across this 0 issue, and that's what this one is. Now, with that said, for any of you out there who have yet to try Whatnot, now's your chance. Use my link below. Get yourselves free 15 bucks just to try it out. Your first purchase, 15 bucks to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. No strings attached. You help out the channel. You get yourself something nice just for giving it a try. 15 bucks. Really, you got nothing to lose there. And if you're not interested in that, but you do need to get yourself some supplies, go over to BCW. You can use my link and you can use my code RENNA10 and save yourself 10% off. You got to buy your bags and boards. You got to buy your short boxes, your top loaders, your card pages, your card top loaders, whatever sort of supplies you need to keep your collectibles safe. You hate spending that money. It's one of those costs that you hate doing. It's like having to buy gas so you can drive your car. It's just a cost of doing business, an unfortunate expense in our hobby. But while you're doing it, you might as well save some money since you got to spend it anyway. Save yourself 10% and use my code RENNA10. So it helps a little bit, right? With that said, that was this week's new releases. So as I mentioned at the start, we are going to catch up since I skipped last week and look at last week's new releases for a couple of books and a couple of more items for you to go and dig for. So let's go turn back the clock and see what we got here out of DC. New last week, we had Justice League Unlimited #1. Decent read, decent start. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm kind of intrigued. I like the idea of a huge Justice League, and then you got the Watchtower up in the sky. It's almost like a city of superheroes up there. A lot of characters and a lot of things going on. In this first issue, we kind of use an old character that they bring in as sort of our point of view character to wander around the new, Watchtower or whatever they're calling it these days. But here, Airwave getting his pass, his free pass, free reign to go in and out of this place wherever he wants. He'll have his own quarters to stay in, team ups, all that fun stuff. Airwave. Character's been around for a while. But this is who we're going to look at here because while there are dozens and dozens of cameos of characters we could have just covered just for fun, they didn't really have a main focus in this story. Airwave does have an important role to play in this tale and in this series going forward. I don't want to spoil anything, so go ahead and read it. But he has an important role to play. Let's just put it that way. At least they kind of indicate that he will. With that said, Airwave. Hal Jordan. Not that Hal Jordan. His cousin Hal Jordan. Why the cousin has the same name, I don't know. But he does. So Harold Jordan, also called Hal, Airwave, was introduced back in 1977 in Green Lantern issue 100. Yes, this is when Green Lantern and Green Arrow were sharing the title together. Lots of green, October 1977. And Airwave is right there in the cover. You might not have noticed him. He's kind of hidden back there behind Hal Jordan next to Black Canary, but he's back there with all that green. He kind of gets lost in the sauce, but Airwave is right back there on this 100th Smash issue. So apart from being on the cover, he is right there from the jump. First splash page, boom, there's our Airwave, plus a new superhero, sort of. Reason being, this is not the first version of Airwave. There was an original Golden Age, I believe, version as well. This is a different character, so we're going to cover this one because this is the one I believe is in the Justice League Unlimited now. So we don't have to go back to the Golden Age. We're going back to this guy. With that said, once again, you think a book from the 70s, first appearance of a character, it's going to be expensive. Surprise, surprise, it really isn't. It really isn't. Copies have sold for $5, $8, $10. Sure. A couple of bucks. It's not that expensive. Meanwhile, asking prices are in the $14, $15, $22 kind of range. Maybe you do well if you find it, but it's still not like something like some sort of major key. It's a book that's easily overlooked, easily misplaced, easily just jammed in a bin for nothing because it's not worth the effort of pulling it out for a lot of places. It just isn't. Because, again, it's not a major key. It's a minor character first appearance. At least for now. Who knows? Airwave might be the next big thing. We'll see how Justice League Unlimited decides to handle this. But we don't know. Point being, go and look for your Airwaves while you're out there digging. Now, while DC gave us their big team-up book, Marvel decided to answer with a brand new West Coast Avengers team. Yes, I know. Rumors about a West Coast Avengers movie also pushed some interest in on this book too, but the two things are not the same. The movie seems to sound more like the original comic run because we're talking about Wonder Man and some of the other characters that we could see joining that West Coast Avengers team if they decide to do it. That's even if they decide to do it. It's just a rumor. But if they decide to do it in the MCU, that'll be a different squad than this comic counterpart. For now, this is a group of former criminals, I guess, or at least ones that have some touches with the other side of the law. Tony Stark has put together this ragtag bunch with a reprogrammed Ultron, Firestar, who was deep undercover for a while, having to do some stuff that she wasn't proud of. Jessica Drew, I get it. Now, I bring up Firestar because she is going to be part of the team, and look, she's right there on the cover. But if you actually open up the book and read it, she's not really part of the squad yet. In fact, all we get is this panel or this page here where she's at the bar with no name, drowning her sorrows because, again, she's not in a good place. And she gets the call from Tony, hey, I want you to come out and be a part of this new team with me. And she's like, all right, I'll be there. But she doesn't sound all that enthused or excited to do so. Probably going to be part of the story going forward. But point being, she will be part of this team. So Firestar is a part of this team, and that's who we're looking at here. Now, we all know her first appearance was actually in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the cartoon, with Iceman, Firestar, and Mrs. whatever the stupid cat's name was. Yeah, they were in the cartoon together with Spider-Man. That was actually her first. But in continuity in the Marvel comic universe, she didn't join up until Uncanny X-Men 193. And that's this special double-sized issue that I got right here from February of 1985. She's right there on the cover, fighting Rogue there in the background. Cool. We know she's in the book. But apart from that, I want to show you that, yes, she actually is in the book. And there, she gets a big call out, hey, Firestar. Because people, even in the comics, they know who she is. And people reading the comics know who she is because, like I said, they saw the cartoon. So she's kind of a familiar character, just finally being introduced in the universe. There you go. So, Firestar, first appearance. You would think this, again, would be a very pricey book, and be surprised. They could do all right sometimes, but by and large, copies selling $6, $12. It's not setting the world on fire. Not at all. Asking prices $8, $10, $12. Even that $12.49, that's near mint. Some will list it as first appearance of Firestar. Others won't. Will just ignore it. Hey, it is what it is. But it's still a fun first that you can go and hunt for and dig for, and you could probably find it for a few bucks. So you can find it for cheap. Not to say it's definitely going to be $1. I mean, even dollar bins these days are getting fewer and far between, but it's still fun to dig in any sort of discount bin, dollar box, whatever, what have you, whatever your store, shop, wherever you're digging. This is the kind of discount book you can still probably find because it's the type of thing that gets buried, really. And with that said, let's move on to our final book for those of you readers out there, because that's part of the fun here, right? I know there's a lot of different types of collectors out there. Some people just like to collect for covers. They like the pretty pictures, and I get it. But I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're just buying books just for the cover, because there's actually a lot of stuff that goes on between those pages that you paid for. So you should probably try to enjoy those too. I'm just saying. I mean, it is part of the product that you're purchasing. It's not just the cover. Otherwise, just buy art prints. Like, why buy the full comic then? Just go buy prints. That said, inside the books for you readers out there. Now, I know many of you are probably not reading this. I didn't want to read this, but I had to. So just to see what was in there. Because again, I got to check some of these things out just to give myself some content to cover. See who's going to show up in these issues, because you never know sometimes. Granted, not the greatest series in the world, Dazzler, but it's kind of an semi-interesting romp with you got Dazzler, you got Leela Cheney, you got the music angle, you got the whole roadie crew, you got Strong Guy and Multiple Man there, and another bunch of ragtag misfits that are going in on these adventures together. It's not terrible, it's just not 100% my cup of tea. That said, part of this ragtag bunch that I mentioned here, no, we're not going to cover Multiple Man. No, we've already talked about Strong Guy before. Not even Domino, but right there, Shark Girl. Yeah, how about that? Using an obscure character like Shark Girl in this series. That's always fun when they decide to do things like that. So it gives us something to go and look for and a book to go and hunt, right? So, Shark Girl. She's been through the first 3 issues. Like, she's been around, part of the series, part of the crew. Shark Girl. Cool. She's been around maybe a dozen years or so, I want to say. She first showed up in Wolverine and the X-Men when Wolvie was running the school. Remember those days? It was kind of fun. But here we go. Wolverine and the X-Men number 20 is her first appearance. And while this panel here doesn't show her fully sharked out, she was transforming at this point. So she ate some fish and then she's like, oh my God, what happened? I just picked this panel because it's a really awesome panel. I didn't even give you the whole thing, but it's a great page panel. And eventually in the story, she converts to full-on Shark Girl and there's some fighting that ensues, yada, yada, yada. You know, comic book hijinks. But this is her first appearance, and this is the character, so I just chose this panel to share with you because I liked it. But she is in this book, first appearance of Shark Girl. Again, this is one of those fun things you could pull out of a cheap box and dollar box and show off to your friends your comic book knowledge. You can be like, hey, you know what's inside this book? Because she's not on the cover, so you don't know it right out of the gate. You got to know what's inside the guts of this book. You got to open this sucker up and read it to know that Shark Girl's inside of here, unless you just listen to me, because I'm telling you that it's in there. But under $4 a copy is sold for. Copies listed for as cheap as $1.99 up to $10. It's not an expensive key. I'm not saying it should be an expensive key. This is a weird, wonky first appearance that you should be able to dig out for very, very cheap. It's probably going to remain very cheap, but it's still kind of fun to find. And like I said, you can pull it out of the box, throw it down, and be like, you know whose first appearance is in here? Shark Girl. And they're like, who's Shark Girl? Oh, let me tell you about Shark Girl. And then I don't have much to tell you about Shark Girl either because, well, there isn't a lot to tell about Shark Girl. Even though she's been around a dozen years, she hasn't been in a ton of stuff just yet. Here and there, Wolverine and the X-Men, kind of background player here and there, whatever. Point being, it's still fun. So let's have fun with our collectibles and our collecting hobby. Shark Girl. Moving on, because that's not it. There's another member of this bunch that I want to cover who's also a minor, kind of forgotten about character, and that is right here. Sophia? Yeah, Sophia. Also known as Wind Dancer. She's been around for a couple of decades now, too. She's got wind powers. But Wind Dancer first showed up back in that Middleton run on New Mutants, issue 1, back in 2003. So, New Mutants number 1. This run has not only great Middleton covers that then become pretty awesome Chris Bacalo covers, a lot of first appearances throughout this series with Prodigy and what's the healer? Elixir, I think, is also in there. A lot of first appearances, including Wind Dancer, who shows up here in this first issue basically as the lead. Like in this issue, if you actually open this book up and read it, it's all from her point of view as she's finding out about her powers. And I think she's in Brazil, and then she moves to the school, is introduced to all the students. She's the point of view character basically throughout this storyline, introducing you to this new volume of New Mutants. So, boom, and then she is inside. So again, she's basically the main draw, the main follow in this particular issue. So yes, truly her first appearance and fully explains her background, etc. That said, this book ain't expensive. You would think it might be, but it's not. $2.50, $3 copies have sold for. Asking prices, $3.50, $4, $5. $5 with free shipping. It costs more than $5 to ship this book. Well, I guess if you did a media rate, but still, you take out the eBay fees, that person's really not getting anything for that book. Seriously, it's like $4 something to even mail media rate if you put in a Gemini mailer. I mean, for even at 8 ounces, it's still like $4.32 with the shipping discount. That leaves 70 cents behind, but you got to pay eBay fees, and they're taking more than that. So they're paying for you to take this book for $5. Just saying. Dig for it, though. Dig for it. Fun first. And again, she's not on the cover. Another moment for you to show off. This is the first wind dancer. Throw it down in front of your friend and point out things that you know that he or she may not. Because you may like to do that too. People love showing off, right? With that said, that is all I have for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It was actually shorter the first time around, so I don't know what I added this time that I didn't say the first time, but last time I did it, it was like 23 minutes. Now this is about half an hour, so I did something else, I guess. But with that said, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking this out. Make sure you check out my links below. Make sure you check out all the other things here on the channel. Do the likes, the subscribes, the alerts, all that fun stuff. Helps us out. Helps me keep motivated to keep making content. So if you're enjoying it, let me know. If you're not enjoying it, you can let me know that too. I mean, I'm here for all of you. But with that all said, I will see you all soon with some more content. All right.